I was locked on an NFL preseason game last night. The Ravens hadn't lost a preseason game since 2015, and I don't spend a lot of time breaking down preseason games, so this may be a first. But they lost last night, and I was watching that, and you know what I honestly believed? That NFL players care more about the preseason than NBA players care about the regular season. That's the message I keep getting. Bucks Sixers, TV Saturday. Nah, I played last night. My calf's a little sore. Ravens Commanders, all out war, all in. Leagues and players send messages through their effort, commitment, and style. Baltimore and Washington had me locked in for 90 minutes of the second half. I said this to my kids years ago. They were doing and participating in sports, and I said, I'll care if you do. The minute you don't, I'm out. I'm not a taxi driver or a Lyft driver or an Uber driver. The second you don't show passion, I got other stuff to do in the weekends. Trust me. And eventually, and they didn't care that much about it. And I was like, all right, they're good students. I'm good. They like to water ski and snow ski with Dad. They want to play sports. I'm good. But the SEC for years is the college football conference I watch a lot because they care. The fans are crying. The cheerleaders are crying. The coaches are screaming. The announcers are all in. They care more, so I care more. I'm not from the South. I didn't go to Baton Rouge, LSU. I've been there once. Why do I care so much? If you care, I care. People for years have said football's popular because of the scarcity of games. It's not just that. It's an emotional investment. Careers can end at any time. By the way, we live in a very fractionalized world. People are on their phones and their social media, stuff I didn't have when I was a kid. And what gets you to a TV set? What gets you to the radio? What gets you places? If it feels really important and you can't miss it. The effort last night those two teams put in was significant. Why would I care? I'm not from the D.C., Baltimore area. This game doesn't mean anything. I wanted to say, memo to the NBA. Have your players at least fake like they care about the regular season. The NBA commissioner is now creating a mid-season tournament so that his basketball players will care about playing basketball. It's a problem. It wasn't in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Maybe they're all so rich now. I don't know. I don't really care. It's not my issue. But last night was so great and so contagious and so fun. It's why we love this game. You care, I care. I don't know what the TV ratings were last night, but I could not have been the only person out here 3,000 miles away on the West Coast that was sitting there watching. I think Troy Aikman at one point said, this is the most fun I've ever had watching a preseason game. I got a little Sam Howell. I got a little Zay Flowers. OBJ didn't play, but they talked about him. I've never seen teams care more for a preseason football game. If you care, I care. It's that simple. Those men cared. So I was in. Here's a story. The Colts, this has gone back and forth, are now seeking a first-round pick for Jonathan Taylor. He was a second-round pick. I love that pick. He was terrific. But you'd have to sign him or trade for him and then sign him. It would be a lot of money. I don't know what his market is, but there's somebody out there that wants him. But let's just look, because I'm going to make a comp here. And I don't think I'm wrong. Look at the last 3 to 4 years at Indy. They fire Frank Reich, who immediately gets a great job and a raise from a really aggressive owner. They pulled the plug on Carson Wentz despite the fact he had a 27 TD, 7-pick season and a 96.5 quarterback rating. That's pretty good. They've now ticked off their star running back, the best player on their team. They hired a head coach straight from ESPN, Jeff Saturday, good guy, not an NFL head coach. Does it sound like a well-run business? Oh, by the way, they won't sign their best player, which you can argue a second contract even for a star running back can be tenuous, but they will spend $100 million on a guitar collection for the owner. You know what Jim Irsay's become? The James Dolan of the NBA. Dad gave him a fortune, a great business. He's gotten rich, and he's now distracted and loves his music. It's a problem. He's also the most active NFL owner on Twitter or X or whatever it's called. That's not great. For years, people questioned Irsay, but he had a grown-up in the room named Peyton Manning that kept it stable. And then he had Andrew Luck, Stanford IQ. No nonsense, kept it stable. The longer Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, further away they get in the rearview mirror, the crazier and the loonier this franchise appears to be. 5 years, 8 starting quarterbacks. It is a problem. When you're a great franchise quarterback, it's like Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. You're a bit of a magician. You're showing us your right hand and all the greatness over here, and then it's distracting us for all the goofiness and the ownership problems and the executive suite chaos over there. It's a great magician. Burrow did it in Cincinnati. We didn't know if Zach Taylor could coach. It appears he can. The O-line was a mess. They didn't have an indoor practice facility in northern cold weather. They had a cheap owner. They didn't really have an official GM. And then a grown-up came into the room named Joe Burrow and solved all of it. And that's what happens in chaotic organizations. Maybe Deshaun Watson can solve the Browns, though I doubt it. But Peyton Manning did that for years. And then Andrew Luck did it for years. There's only so much a general manager like Chris Ballard can do. He's just an employee working for the boss. But a star franchise quarterback has the fans in their pocket too, and fans ultimately pay the owner. So Joe Burrow and Andrew Luck and Mahomes and Peyton Manning and Brady have real power, and the owner knows it. They move merchandise, they get you on television, and you benefit. What can a GM and a front office guy do? You know, you're running around at the behest of the owner. But this is a problem in Indianapolis. Another starting quarterback. Frank Reich is gone. Carson Wentz wasn't great, but Carson Wentz was damn good for them. The Jeff Saturday situation. Jeff's a great guy, by the way, but that felt Looney Tunes. And now Jonathan Taylor. I've said before, you can make an argument that if Anthony Richardson is as good and productive athletically as most of us think he will be, sort of a Josh Allen, Cam Newton, that you could move. He's going to gobble up Jonathan Taylor's yards anyway. You could move Taylor if you could get a great corner and a receiver. There's an argument to be made. There is that Anthony Richardson, as mobile quarterbacks continue to gobble up running back yards, there's an argument that Anthony Richardson doesn't need a star running back. He could use a B plus running back. I get that. But the whole thing, the last 4 years, 2 weeks ago, didn't he say we're not trading Jonathan Taylor? And now I read this morning, they're moving off Jonathan Taylor. It's just chaos, and you can't win in this league at the highest levels unless you've got the owner, the GM, the coach, and the quarterback buttoned up. You can't. Kansas City does. That's why they're a favorite again. Philadelphia now does. Nick Sirianni proved to be better than I suspected at coach. That's why they're a favorite in the NFC.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.